And they're off. It's December 23rd, 2018. And it's time for Sunday morning service.
Amen. Fist bump. Amen. Fist bump.
Allahu Akbar. Good morning. It is December 23rd, 2018, and we are on the cusp of another Christmas, or, as all the Christians like to say, the birth of Christ. We have been talking and discussing for the last several weeks of Genesis, and we're going to continue down that line in the book of Genesis instead of breaking this up. Although, instead of the usual read from the beginning of my Bible, about Jesus the man, myth, the legend, all of that stuff. There's just a little thought that, during the Christmas holidays, whether you happen to be a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or a pagan or whatever your belief system happens to be, it's not so much that it's about the birth of Christ. It's more about the fact that people actually start to think about other humans during this period of time. It's a really nice period of time, that 2 to 3 weeks in December. People actually think about and care about each other for a brief, small moment. Sort of gives you a hope that, people might actually learn to communicate and cooperate with each other. But then again, another week, new year will roll around, parties will happen, everyone will hit the gyms will be overcrowded, and they'll be back to the running the hamster wheel as you. But I'll continue doing this show every Sunday morning, 8 a.m., which is a nice time to, sit here and talk about the Bible and discuss it. So today we're going to be picking up where we left off last week at chapter 21 in the book of Genesis and discussing more of it. If we do a little bit of a recap there, last time around we were talking about Abraham, when he went from Abraham to Abraham, his journeys, his dalliances with his maid, his wife suddenly getting kids, him wandering around with her as her as his sister and his wife, because his Sarah was both his sister and his wife, which was really cruel, and he was a bit of a douche by using her to, blackmail kings and others along the way. But you'll have to read that or go back and listen to last week's episode. I try to keep these between half an hour, 45 minutes tops. It's really hard. There's a lot to do and understand in here. Well, without further ado, though, let's jump right in to chapter 21, Book of Genesis. And the Lord visited Sarah, as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived, and bare Abraham a son in his old age. And she set time of which God had spoken to him. Now we need to double back for that one, because I forgot that little bit there when God said that. Now let's double back into chapter 21 first, or chapter 20 for a second. We'll go back to servants and wife. Okay, yeah, we're not going to go back to the whole thing, but that's kind of interesting how that's there. And so God made Sarah whole so that she could conceive and have a son. Let's reread that. We'll start that one over again. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived, and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded him. And Abraham was an 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. That's a tough sentence to read. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. So, all right, so Sarah said, God have made me to laugh. So God made Sarah laugh, so that all will hear and laugh with her. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah would have given children suck? Oh, there we go. So who would have figured out that Sarah in her 90s would have been able to put her titties in the mouth of babies? So, which is what they're made for. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a giant feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, which she had borne unto Abraham, mocking. And so Sarah saw the son of Hagar, his other son, which I've lost the name now. So we have to go back a few chapters to get his name, unless somebody can pop it up into things for me, because the cry of Sodom. Where did that go? There it is. Angel of the Lord. Lord shall dwell, God. Ishmael. That's it. Ishmael. So we got Isaac and Ishmael. Those are Abraham's sons. So Sarah's like, yeah, see, I got a son too now. Neener. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, who would have been Ishmael the Egyptian, which she born unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. So this is where Sarah shows her true colors. You go back a couple of chapters, and Sarah's like, I can't give you a kid. Here, have a kid by my maid. And, oh, God gave me a kid to give to you. Oh, get rid of this maid and this kid, man. I don't want this around me. That's pretty bloody cruel, if you actually think about it. It's like, toss him out. I don't want him to be heir. I want my son to get it all. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, Let it be not grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman, in all that Sarah hath said unto thee. Hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So God is siding with Sarah here and saying, hey, don't be grievous about it. Just, hey, suck it up. Listen to Sarah. Get rid of the kid. Get rid of the bondwoman. Isaac's going to be your only son. And also the son of the bondwoman. Oh, wait a sec. God continues it. And also of the son of the bondwoman, I will make a nation, because he is thy seed. So Ishmael's not going to get to inherit Abraham's stuff, but he's still going to be made into a nation. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat her down over against him a good way off, as it were a bowshot, for she said, Let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him, and lift up her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven, and said unto her, What aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in thy hand, for I will make him a great nation. And God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottle with water, and gave the lad drink. And God was with the lad, and he grew, and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. And his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. So his mom went and got him a wife. So he was almost dead, and God saved him. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Pichole, the chief captain of his host, spake unto Abraham, saying, God is with thee in all that thou doest. Now therefore swear unto me here by God that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me and to the land wherein thou hast sojourned. Who was that? Oh, so we just jumped right there. We made a major jump in the storyline. First, we were following Ishmael for a second. They saved Ishmael, and now all of a sudden we've jumped to Abraham. And we're still in chapter 21. You know, this book is, it's not very cohesive. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. So we leave Ishmael in Egypt. That's where we shall leave him at the moment. Now we're with Abraham speaking to a Pichol, chief captain of the host in Abimelech. And he's saying to Abraham, now therefore swear unto me here by God that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me, and to the lands wherein thou hast sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water, which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. All right, wait a second here. Now, reproved is to push something off, I believe. Let's go look up reproved. Reproved. Past tense of reprove. To censor. He reprimanded. Oh, okay. So Abraham, in one word, said, I swear to deal fairly with you, but now I'm going to reprove you or reprimand you because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. and Abimelech said, I wot not who hath done this thing, neither didst thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it. But today, and Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and both of them made a covenant. Okay, he made up. A kiss and make up. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what mean these 7 ewe lambs which thou hast set by themselves? And he said, for these 7 ewe lambs shalt thou take of my hand, that they may be witness unto me that I have digged this well. Wherefore he called that place Beersheba, because there they swear both of them. Okay, so we're kind of confused. So supposedly, so Abraham dug that well, and Abimelech's servants took it away. So he might have had a right to pitch a fit there, but then they kiss and made up. Now he's laid out the sheep, these ewes, to be witnesses that he dug that well. Okay. Wherefore he called that place Beersheba, because there they swear both of them. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose up, and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba, and called there the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned in the Philistines' land many days. Abraham hung out in the Philistines' land. All right. Chapter 22. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, behold, here I am. And he said, take now thy son, thy only son, Isaac. Now, wait a minute. This is where it starts to drift off into a little bit of BS, I think, because Isaac is not the only son. Ishmael is his other son. So he's got 2 sons. They're only going to talk about Isaac. This is where Ishmael disappears from the lineage, I think. And he said, take now thy son, thy only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. So this is the story of where God is saying, hey, you grab your son Isaac there, come with me, you're going to kill him for me. I'm a sadistic bastard. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass. Love that. He rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. So he made Isaac carry the wood he was going to burn him on. That's nice. That's a little sadistic unto itself, actually. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you, kid. I'm about to kill you because God told me to. So here, take all this wood. Follow me. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, my father. And he said, here am I, my son. And he said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, my son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went, both of them together. Good line, Abraham. Good line, man. Good job. And they came to the place which God had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And they probably don't go into the point here that at this point Isaac's probably screaming and what? And like, what the heck are you doing? Most likely. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And voila! And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham! And he said, here I am. Sorry, here am I. Got to get the right. It's like we want to read it in the order we're used to in English, but it's really kind of hard. You got to pay close attention, I'm noticing. So Abraham went, here am I. And he said, lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, and seeing thou hast not only held thy son, thine only son from me, has not withheld, God, fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son from me. Now, it's not his only son. Now, this might be why Abraham was so willing. It's like, all right, well, if I have to kill Isaac, I kill Isaac to please God. But, hey, I've always got Ishmael hiding off on the side, so I still have a son. That thought just occurred to me. That's actually kind of an interesting thought there. Maybe Isaac wasn't being, or Abraham wasn't being just an obedient servant of God. Maybe he was, playing the odds and going, hey, I've still got a son. I sent him into the wilderness, but I bet I could find him. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah. Okay, now that's interesting. I never knew that little tidbit right there. The place where Abraham was going to slay his son and permanently scarred him for life, I'm sure. Permanently. I mean, wouldn't you be permanently scarred if you just, your dad was about to slay you and then all of a sudden he stops and finds a ram and puts it on there? You'd be a little bit worried for the rest of your life, I think. But anyway, he called it Jehovah. Jehovah Jireh. It's actually the full name here. I got to get the small writing. He called that place Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen. And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, By myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. Okay, so this is a point here that since Abraham did all this wonderful fake stuff of, slaying his son, etc., God has now promised him that his seed is going to spread like the stars in the heavens and the sand upon the shore, and he's going to give him the gate of his enemies. In other words, some city of his enemies is going to be given to Abraham. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So accordingly, all the nations of the earth, that includes the U.S., Canada, Russia, Turkmenistan, Australia, New Zealand, everyone, they're all blessed now because of this. Supposedly. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to pass after these things that it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she hath also borne children unto thy brother Nahor. Hutz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jidlap, and Bethuel. And Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's brother, and his concubine, whose name was Reumah, she bare also Tebah, and Gama, and Tamash, and Makkah. Now, why would the concubine here for the brother of Abraham suddenly have important names? See, this is interesting. But we're still in the Old Testament, so we're still good here. We don't have the rules and the laws that say, no adultery, no playing around. So they can still philander as much as they want here. And boy, do they. He had his own concubine. Nice. Chapter 23. And Sarah was 107 years old. No, sorry. Wrong number. Looking at too many things here. All right, we're pushing it. All right, so chapter 23, and this will be our wrap for today, probably. We're only going to get through 2. And Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. So she was 127. These were the years of life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kirjath Arba. The same is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. So Sarah died at 127 years old after having a kid in her early 90s. Well, at least she got to see him live to be 30. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. give me possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. Now, that one's kind of interesting. I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. So he's going to bury his dead out of his sight. Okay. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my Lord, thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our speculars, in the choice of our speculars, bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulcher. That's a tough word for me. I have to work on that one. Sepulcher, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. And Abraham stood up, bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Heth. And he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat me to the Ephron, the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of the Machpelah, which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For as much money as it is worth, he shall give it me for a possession of a burying place among you. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even all of that went in at the gate of his city, saying, Nay, my Lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that is therein I give it thee. In the presence of thy sons of my people give it thee. Bury thy dead. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land. And he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, But if thou wilt give it, I pray thee, hear me. I will give thee money for the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My Lord, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver, which he had named in the audience of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchant. And the field of Ephron, which was the Machpelah, which was before Mamre, was the field and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the borders around about, were made sure. And Abraham for possession and made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Heth, before all that were at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And the field and the cave that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burying place by the sons of Heth. So basically, that entire chapter was Abraham going, hey, I need to bury her. I got to get her out of my sight. She can't be in the campground. She's stinking up the place. So we've got to find it. There's a cave over here. Nice cave. Let's go over and let's go talk to Ephron and let's negotiate. I want the cave, but I also want the field in front of the cave. I don't just want the cave because you're going to let me use the cave. But then what if you get upset that I'm crossing this field? So let me buy the field. Okay, for 400 shekels, you can have the field. So they worked it out. Nicely done. Very good, nicely done in a abstract kind of way. The abstractness of this sometimes is just insane. So I'm going to leave it at chapter 24 here just today because, we're already at 35 minutes. And chapter 24 is looking to be, that's a pretty hefty chunk. We've got chapter 24 as 70 verses. So that one there will take a little while to read. But I may be back for the 24th, Christmas Eve, sometime late in the night, to do a little random reading from the book. And just because it is Christmas Eve, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes. That's all we've got for you today in the Sunday morning service from the Rogues Tavern. And we'll be back next week with more. If you stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. If you like game streaming, lots of game streaming happens. Me, my alternate egos, multiple games. Lots of game streaming going to be occurring over the next few weeks. And it's just going to be tons of fun stuff. So tune in. That's all we got for you. That's it for the Rogues Tavern. Have yourself a great Sunday with your little tidbits from the Bible. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Amen. Fist bump.